Those are extras.
Hello and welcome to the December 10th, 2014 Communication Commission meeting. I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:18. Let's see. And in attendance are the chairman, Richard Nielsen, Ute O'Connor, Jerry Page, and Ted Fournier. Unfortunately, Mrs. Smith will not be here tonight. All right, has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda? And do we have any amendments or additions?
Oh, I would like to make an addition to the agenda under where should we put this?
New business.
Under new business. Okay. Basically just, actually we can do that when we set our next commission meeting time, correct?
We already have the commission meeting time. We need to
reset
the meeting time.
So then that would probably be item...
Well, it'll be fine. We'll add it as new business.
We'll add it as new business, an item to change our regular meeting time to 5:30 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month.
Great. Any comments by any of the commission?
No.
May I have a vote then on amending the time for our meeting to 5:30 on the second Wednesday of the month? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes.
Okay, this is the motion to add it to the agenda.
Right. Motion to add it to the agenda. All right. Has anybody had a chance to review the minutes? And any corrections or additions? All right. Do I have a motion to approve, please?
I make a motion to approve.
Richard, second.
I'll second.
Uta, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes to approve the minutes as written. Okay, we have reports of our board and standing committee. Cable Department Supervisor, Mr. Fournier.
Webpage done.
Yay! Good job, Ted.
Well,
Kathy.
it's not.
And the commission.
It's not exactly done completely. We still have some things to do, but it's we cleaned it up, got it ready. Just a little history since we last met. We met on Wednesday. On Thursday there was a managers meeting, and the managers got together and decided that they wanted to. Well, originally they wanted to get it out by January 15th, and we talked them into December 15th on a Thursday, and then on Saturday. Richard and Kathy and Jerry and I met for, I think, 2.5 hours, and we made a punch list of things that needed to be done on the web page and some issues we had. Then on the following Tuesday, there was a meeting between the vendor and a couple board members. And
Wednesday.
Wednesday? Okay, I lose time. Mm-hmm. And after that meeting, Dale came up to me and called me up and asked me if we could push the launch to December 1st, and so I agreed to it, and we kind of worked overtime and cleaned it up and eliminated a few things, and we launched on December 1st, so it went pretty smooth. There are a couple links that we overlooked and a couple pages that needed to be refined. And also we had some situations with the phone. It's really not working 100% the way it should on the phones and the iPads. And so by Thursday we were pretty smooth. We still on a daily basis are adding things and readjusting things as the managers. We had a managers meeting on this Tuesday and made a punch list of items that the managers liked and didn't like and would like to change. We started working on that punch list today, so we've got 4 or 5 things. But there are some redesign issues that the managers would like. We'll probably wind up going back to revise. Since then, Revise has also sent us a proposal punch list things. And I think if you compare our punch list from the Saturday meeting and the revised punch list, there are a lot. There's a lot in common, but we've done most of them now. Revised sent us a proposal to clean it up for $1,200, and I don't think that's necessary. I think as soon as the managers have more input and start working on their pages more diligently, that this stuff will all be cleaned up. And so I really don't see a need to go with that proposal, but I'm sure some of the other issues we came up at the managers meeting, we will go to revise, and I'm sure in the future there'll be another proposal for some adjustments, and I couldn't even tell you what that'll be. So before I go any further, is there any questions on the webpage?
I have a question, and you might not like me for asking it, but I'm just curious. You said to us that we've worked on this website for a long time, and the reason was that we wanted it to be really good before we launched. We didn't want to launch something that was inadequate, and you were a part of that decision, and I think it was wise. And as you said, you were still working on a punch list prior to the launch. You know, things that you and Kathy and the commission wanted to straighten out before the site went live. What happened at that meeting? What was the reason giving for pushing it up 2 weeks to December 1st if there were still items on the punch list? Were you given, did Dale or anybody give you a reason?
I think the vendor stated that the web page as it was ready to launch. I think that's a fair statement from them. And I can't tell you how many, I don't want to say too many nice things about Kathy because, she gets all big-headed and she'll probably smile and be happy, and that would be the last thing I wanted to do. But Kathy has worked hours. Kathy has set a standard for this web page that she expected it to launch at that standard. And I have tried to live up to that standard, and it definitely has made the webpage a better thing than a better entity than it would have been. So Kathy wanted things, this punch list to be done before we launched it. Plus, very smartly, she wanted to have a beta testing period. And the vendor said, well, it's ready to go. So the powers that be, and the meeting was attended by 2 board members and Dale, and they just, I guess, decided, well, I think Brian Loftus was there too.
My understanding was 3 board members, but not to cut you off, but since no one who attended the meeting is here, perhaps we should wait till next month and table this lengthy discussion. We can go into detail then, and perhaps we should ask Mr. Ream, our township manager, to come, and of course Mrs. Smith will be here, so she can give us information.
All right. But basically at that meeting they decided taking the statement from the vendor that it was ready to launch. Dale said, well, it was the middle of November before Thanksgiving. We cut it in half and said, okay, let's go December 1st. So we pushed it.
Well, I remember that with the launch of the previous website, the beta testing was contested, that there wasn't enough beta testing on the website. So I just find it unusual that we would publish something before we even did a beta test. So
that's very interesting, because I did not know that. Again, you always add so much, Uta, with your history. You really do.
Well, just to tell you, the history, the previous web page, we started working on it April 1st. Among other things they were doing, we actually put about 12 weeks work into it, and then we were told to launch it. So the timetable for the previous web page and this one, quite different.
Yeah. Well, and that's not to, I don't want to take anything away from the hard work that you guys did, and I think I just wanted to know myself, because I found it live, which surprised me because I was looking for something on the webpage, and I pulled up the webpage, and it was the news site. And I wasn't even aware that it had gone live, so I was really surprised. But I mean, it looks good. It looks good.
Thank you.
But to know
Ted,
that
why don't you
it's
bring it
still
up as we're
issues.
talking about it? That would be nice. I'm hearing nothing but positive feedback on the look. I think it totally reflects the island, and that is because the commission had a vision, and we went toward it. And we have so many things we can do now with it. We can change, we have so much flexibility in changing the pictures by season, by event. In fact, we have to get some pictures from Island Glow so we can get those up, Ted. We can resize them and stuff like that. But go ahead.
But yeah, and I think that's the key is, yes, the site may not be 100%, but it's a work in progress.
Yes.
And it will continue to change and improve, and the managers will have control of their sites, their pages, which should enable things to be updated regularly. Residents have some ownership of this. They can submit their photos and things. So, I mean, overall, I think it's just a big positive. I was just surprised, again, after all the conversations we had about a due date or a launch date, that it just kind of quietly appeared. But, again, I'm glad it's there. It looks really nice. I'm proud of what we did.
I am very proud of it. Ted is right. I would have preferred beta testing on an extensive level, but, I'm kind of a ninja, so
Yeah.
that's how it is. But go
Well, we
ahead.
know there's lots of residents watching too.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they call in, and when something doesn't work. So
Yes.
fortunately that hasn't happened. So
We've heard good things.
yeah,
Good.
good.
Things. Go ahead, Ted.
I'm still waiting for this to come up.
Oh.
But basically, it was kind of irony. The main reason, besides the update, is content management was a big issue. And just a quick history, it took like 2 or 3 years for this commission and the board to decide exactly who was going to have content management. And there was some talk about politicians having access, and there was some resistance to that. And finally, sometime in 2012, after some study sessions, it came to a head, and it was decided the managers and just non-elected people would have it. So that was an issue. That took some time. The irony of the whole thing is that one of the delays of implementing the web page was the fact of content management, because when all these pages were assigned to the different departments in after September 17th, schedules, vacations, funerals, deaths, all these things came up, and the managers and the people dedicated to run the content management just did not have the time to implement the new web page. So it once again, it fell back to mainly at my department, and Kathy and I put many hours into it, but the content management, which was designed into the web page, actually was a factor in the delay of implementing it. So there was just an irony. But now, after Tuesday's meeting, I've seen an interest from the different departments, ownership by all these people, and going forward, it'll be more and more people. I still get questions, but more and more people are working on it and solving their own problems, which is, I guess, the whole reason for content management.
And we're going to bring it up. It's coming.
Well, and I think that was one of the things that we discussed in putting all this together as a commission was it was important that the department heads, the staff, the non-political people had access to putting on the content, just simply to, and for lack of a better word, shield the township from the potential of it being used for any sort of political
Right.
purposes, and that's really against the rules. So what was really exciting about the design that we do have, and people are noticing, is the buttons that they have access to. So you can link to Facebook and Twitter and YouTube with just a push of a button.
Yeah.
You can link to the first response page, the police page, very quickly. And then the carousel at the bottom.
Yeah, the carousel
That
is-
was important to you, and I can see why, because now it makes it very convenient to get access to information.
I don't know, do you want, Kathy, I think, has a copy of, Dale Ream, the township manager, gave Kathy, and I think Lauren got a copy, and I got a copy of the punch list that the managers came out with. And a bunch of the stuff is done. Some of it involves a little redesign. Like I said, that'll probably cost us to redesign it. But that's, yeah,
Can I get a moment of interruption?
yeah.
Microphone. Microphone.
It was pointed out to me yesterday that some people were having trouble viewing the new webpage on their smartphone.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, that's one of the issues on the punch list that we're gonna have to talk with our vendor with, because
Because that was initially stated that it was supposed to.
Oh, yeah.
it
Yeah.
took 2 or 3 days on my phone for it to actually fully download. Now it fully downloads. You can also, I think there's an app you can apply to your phone where you just hit the app and it goes right to the web page.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I know Dale's installed it. I want to show you one of the factors that, one of the things that we noticed. See, where the cursor right now is about an inch underneath the word home. And I think it's the resources files coming down, that's mislocated, so that's an issue we're going to have to take care of.
They will fix that.
That'll get fixed. So those are the kinds of things that we noticed.
There are other things, but to go on with what Uta said about the buttons, we can put as many buttons as we want. I added YouTube because we needed it. And we're going to have probably Instagram or whatever people want.
That's the one the kids are telling me I need to add.
Instagram, absolutely.
That's, I guess, the new one that.
We talked about it 6 months ago, and they were nixing it, and I thought, well, we'll let them nix it, and then we'll put it in.
That's the beauty of this. It can continue to. We basically right now. I've been describing it as you buy a brand new house, and all the walls are white,
Yeah.
and all the rooms are done, but now we got to decorate it. We got to paint the walls different colors and add some stuff on it, maybe put a deck in the backyard, and stuff like that.
And
So
fix the nail pops.
yeah,
and-
so that's where we are. Yeah, and the beauty of it is it's a pretty good functional web page. As plain as, we consider it, especially Kathy, because Kathy had such a high vision for this page that she strove for, and the passion for what her vision was has, like I said, increased the whole web page.
Well, and you both are also very educated about how to make these things happen. You both learned programming and how to put the code together to make certain things happen. So you also have an expert kind of insider knowledge, and you see things when they don't look the average person like me might not see certain things.
Yeah.
You see that this could be different. I just wanted to, one last thing, you pointed out the YouTube or Instagram, and really the YouTube takes you to the Grosse Ile
Right.
Township YouTube channel, which, it's not just any old YouTube, but you can see all the different videos posted under Grosse Ile Township.
We're about 38 or 39.
Yeah.
By Christmas, we'll be close to 50 because I've been lax in adding in the last
Don't say
4 or
that.
5
You've
weeks.
had plenty to
Well,
do.
well, I'm just saying there are plenty of the events that we had,
Yeah.
Island Glow, and the one I'm proud of is we taped a couple speeches at the VFW, the award-winning speeches on what veterans mean to us, and I
Oh.
think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
A couple of the kids at the middle school and the high school wrote them. That'll be one
Is
of
that
them.
the voice of democracy?
They didn't title it that, but
Okay.
I think it's the old voice of democracy.
Well, another thing is, it goes right to our Facebook page, right to our Twitter page.
Yeah.
People don't have to think. They just go, oh, I want to see what's going on in the township.
bing, 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 and
That's another, you mentioned, it's not done yet, but when anything that's underneath the notes and news is eventually going to go straight to Facebook and straight to Twitter.
I'm going to talk about that a little bit.
And Facebook now, we have really had an increase in our Facebook lately. We're up over 1,000. Today, I looked at it before the meeting, we're about 1,051. So, you know, any message goes out to 1,000 households immediately.
Excellent.
Since the website still has some work in progress, shouldn't it have a little mark on it that indicates that the webpage is still under construction? Because usually that's what webpages.
I don't think it's construction so much, Richard, just readjustment and
Okay.
decorating. I mean, I do have one disclaimer on it. The archive page for GITV is not up to date. It's a separate contractor where Granicus is going to rebuild it for us. And after having a phone conversation with them yesterday, actually a conference call, they feel that they can have that adjusted by the 18th of December. So that page has a disclaimer on it right now, the archive page, but it should be back up to date and remodeled by the 18th of December.
Because I'm looking at the PDF, the document center, and under PDFs, and there is no PDFs.
We've got to work on that one. That was one of the things, and that's a lot of moving things around, but it
That's
can be
why I
done.
was just saying it should be, you know, there should be an indicator that material is going to be coming.
But you can get to the forms, if I'm not mistaken, on the carousel. So there, you know, everything isn't working, but most things are.
I think Richard's point is well taken, that we might put a note on there when you open the site that it is still being tweaked, or I don't know what the right word is.
Document centers, now that you pointed it out, that's
Not a big deal.
30-second fix.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of the things that we have, not on the phone, but on the actual, on a laptop. It can, if we would have had more time, unfortunately, we probably could have, could have been a little bit more finished. But we're working on it, and
Jerry pointed out a mislink to me early in the process, and all the employees, I've been getting emails and say, hey, I was looking at this, and it's not always a mistake, but they say, can you do this and make it look better? So we're adjusting it constantly.
It's a soft launch, I would think is the proper terminology. When businesses open, usually they don't have a big grand opening until they've been open a couple months, because it's a soft launch to kind of shake out our problems. But I personally have been very happy with the way people have responded to it. They seem to like the feel of it. That's what's really I'm appreciative of. They feel it's a grow seal site, and they respond properly to it, or positively. Let's put it that way. Anything else, Ted?
Well, I got a couple of subjects I'd like to get to.
Okay.
I'm going to pass out, for your information, there's really nothing we have to do, but WOW and Comcast have announced that at the joyous time of the year, Christmas, they're going to raise their prices, which to the customer is not good, but to us, we get 5% of the raise. So
Let's ask for more.
So I'll give you both of their letters and their rates here, and it's just pretty. As people that represent the Cable Commission and the Communication Commission in the communities, I'm sure at Kroger's you get stopped and say, why is my cable going up so high? Here's the reason.
Okay.
Ted, are you noticing an appreciable change in the number of cable subscribers as people are moving away from cable and onto?
Not yet.
Okay.
We are, in fact, last year, I think the franchise fees for the first time broke $200,000. So at one point they were 80 or 90,000. So, but I think people are still buying cable at the moment. And then one of the last things I want to do, I have been working on, and I think it'll be a big issue in January and February for this body, but in the last week I received a report from Sound Engineering about our whole sound system, and today I had electronic advanced lighting in here, doing the same thing. So by the end of this month, I will have 3 complete reports on our entire sound system from the board to when we send it out.
Okay.
I'm excited about it. Some of the things that are being talked about, we're going to try to shorten the microphones that you people are using. If you tug at the bottom of the microphones right now, you see they're hooked up to a wire and you can push them in and out. And, we're going to put a mount there where they're going to be snapped in, and there have been times, I remember Uda one time the meeting, halfway through the meeting, the plug fell out and we had to crawl underneath to plug it in. So that won't happen. It'll be a mountable snap-in plug.
Good times.
LED light on the bottom of your microphone to tell the user that it's on or off. You'll still have a muting system. The head of the meetings, the chair of the meetings will still have the ability to mute this mic in case I get long-winded. This podium is going to be exciting because we're going to eliminate the VCR and the DVD and probably even the laptop capability, and we're going to have it so that you can bring up your iPhone and your iPad and your HTML devices. One of the proposals is that there'll be a code up here, and it might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You type it in your phone, and you give the presentation from your phone to the whole board. It'll be wireless. That's a proposal, one of the options we're looking at. Most everything in the control room, all the old stuff will be taken out. I don't want to say miles, but probably a couple miles where the cable will be eliminated. The stuff in the back, everybody has told me it's not supported by software or replacement parts now anymore. It's 15, 16-year-old technology. And the last thing they're going to do is make sure that when the sound is recorded, that we have the best possible devices to send it out to our 4 people, that 4 companies that are broadcasting our signal. So the January meeting, I'm sure you'll have all 3 proposals. A couple other things that might be a possibility. Kevin Wilson from Sound Engineering was in here. He's working on a project at the Public Safety Building, which may include this room. We might be in the process of adding this new equipment in here, which will allow us to be a second command center in case something can't be used at public safety. The facilities here would be the backup public safety command center. So between our advances and their advances, we might be able to be working in conjunction and double the backup system for the police and the fire. Trying to think what else. There's a possibility that next week we could get one of the vendors to come in and give us demonstrate some of this equipment. If that happens, I'll notify all of you. You'll all be invited to actually get hands-on on this. I also invited the gentleman that came in today, Sean Watts, if he was interested in giving a presentation. So I told him that we were really serious about making the best decision, and that if he wanted to give us a demonstration, we would arrange it. So just a notification. I don't have a date yet, but as soon as I get it, if you're interested, I'll try to arrange it so that you guys can get your hands on this equipment. And so when we make the decision, and I'm kind of encouraged. I did get a call from Lauren Smith yesterday, and she's really interested in not waiting for the new budget, but actually getting this stuff rolling in January or February. So I think we have the backing of the board to go forward on this. So any questions on the sound system?
Well, that's been what's been happening when it goes black.
No,
that's something else?
It's a computer. I got some kind of programming glitch in that, and it's at some hours when the program ends, it's not cutting back to the bulletin board, and I don't know what, I haven't found that yet.
You can thank Tim for, I wake up and he goes,
Oh,
tell Ted, tell Ted.
Well, I can, when you do it, I can, there are times that I can get it started again from home.
Yeah, right.
But the last thing, and this one's really bothering me, we cannot get the whole AT&T signal going out. And the AT&T customers have called, and they're owed an explanation. We finally got, I'm working with Scott Peterson from Cygnus, we finally got video going out to AT&T customers from our station, and it was a combination of an ATT mess up and some reprogramming of our encoder. The audio, and this comes from this afternoon, is still being worked on, and the thing we can find, he thinks that, I mentioned this a couple months ago about the brownout situation. He thinks the brownout situation in September storms may have damaged some, he uses the word card, that might have damaged that, and so they are working with AT&T and Cygnus and Granicus are all working, trying to figure out how to get that sound going. So I check it every night because I have AT&T, and I can, if you have AT&T, you can watch many different cities.
What sound card are they using, or don't you know?
I don't know that. Cygnus is our IT people, and he's been in here 2 or 3 times. He said he's going to work on it tomorrow again, so I don't know what's in the encoder, but it sounds like a card's involved and some kind of reprogramming, because the encoder has to match up with the AT&T system, and the video's going out, and we know we're sending out audio, it's just not going through the system. So I want to say be patient, but the AT&T customers on the island have been patient. So I apologize, but I want to reassure them that it's Scott keeps letting me know where they are, and today I had a conversation with him so that I could give the latest information. And as far as video, we're out taping the different groups. We're going to do a police shoot tomorrow morning at Bishop's Cottage, and that's probably going to be our last shoot until the first of the year, and then we got a lot of stuff that we have to get edited and put on, so check YouTube. There'll be a ton of stuff over there by Christmas. So I'm done.
Any questions? Okay. Let's see. Our board liaison is not here tonight, unfortunately, and I was still looking forward to her report. So we'll go to mine. First of all, I forwarded an article to the Yale Camera about growsale.com, very positive, and hopefully I gave her a contact with Revise so they can go back and forth, and if they have any questions, I'm sure there'll be a very nice piece put in. Lena does a great job. Today, let's see, attended the senior luncheon today, and it was terrific. Congratulations to the rec department. Especially enjoyed Supervisor Loftus working on the buffet line. He never stops working for the community. He was very busy. Also, one of the things I wanted to get out today, unfortunately at the senior luncheon, they didn't have an open mic, and I will go to one of their meetings. When we had the survey a few years ago, we polled the seniors because of the age group on the island, the demographics, and the biggest thing they wanted was to have and Ted, if you could bring the page down, I want people to be able to see that, because this is really important. They wanted to be able to read the web page. I know that seems very basic, all the way down so that we can see the top. You're at the bottom. Yeah, there you go. If you can see the negative, the A, and the positive. I wanted them to know that positive is, when you hit that, the print gets bigger. And you can hit that a number of times depending on your eyesight. And my best friend's 51, and she was so happy to have that little button to push. And that was something that came directly from our survey, and I wanted them to know we listened to them, we implemented it, and it works very well. And I think it should be...
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it really does. everybody seems very happy with it, and I can't say it enough to them. I want this for the people.
Ah.
Yeah, so if you can't, we all need a little help every now and again, so I wanted them to know we did that for them.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I will attend one of their meetings to talk about that. Let's see. We tabled that. Okay. There are 3 issues that I found, web issues, that were kind of important. The Notify Me, and you didn't mention that, Ted. That's on every page. And from your recollection, you said we didn't want, so we will ask that to be turned off, because anytime anything changes on a page, if you can bring up the note, maybe it's gone. There it is, Notify Me.
Right there.
Yeah. Now click on that and see what happens. On this page, maybe it's already gone. Maybe they already took it off.
It freezes up every once in a while.
Okay.
But what it goes to is to one page, and right now it's
It's going to the rec department, and they don't want to be bothered. So it's too up. It updates a little too much. There you go.
That's what it goes to. We didn't ask for this. In fact, they brought it up once, and we told them we really didn't want it. But basically what it does is a person can subscribe, and then I guess the way, well, they haven't explained it to me, but the way I understand it is anytime you make a change, the people are notified of a change on the web page or that page. Mm-hmm. The managers really, they want, if we keep it, they want it very limited. They don't want every change and every picture change and every, spelling change or.
I haven't gotten a response yet, but I will pursue.
Well, we talked about it at the managers meeting. So what we need is more information from the vendor before, okay. And then if you read, I don't think we have a whole lot of people that are Latin specific. So.
Yeah, that was well when the website first came out, they fill it with Latin.
So I could probably change it right now, but I've never talked to them specifically about how the whole thing works.
It's just something to turn on and off.
We haven't decided if we wanted it, actually, so.
Well, we probably paid for it, but, we'll find that out.
I checked with a bunch of the other vendor pages, and there's a lot of communities that don't even have that, so.
Or they've turned it off.
Yeah.
That could be something. The other thing, the RSS feed to Facebook, it's something we paid for. I had that verified that feed should be working. And I was told they'll be doing that with other issues, and that kind of...
I just clicked on the Facebook and it opened it just fine.
No, if you hit Facebook, but the Facebook is supposed to be automatically updated by when you the news and events. Whatever's on news and events, it's supposed to automatically do that, and it isn't. And I really don't think we should have to wait for that. So I am going to ask again that this be addressed, since we did pay for that. It's in our contract, and we are live, so that should be one of the items that, it's a small thing, but we would like that done. The mobile is not where it should be. I think that's the best way of putting it. It should be fully functional before we launched. Unfortunately, it's not. And I know on my phone, and I have a new one, you have to scroll a long way to get the whole thing, and that's got to be more compressed. And the menu overlaps, the welcome slogan, and I can't access the menu items on mine. And I have a Note, a Samsung Note. This was mentioned prior to launch, and we were kind of told that it would all be working. So I'm sure that we will have to remind them of that, and that's just one of the things that should be doing. Now my tablet is fine, but these are things that I guess shake out. It's not uncommon.
Well, that phone feature was a selling point that they brought up to us that
Yes.
This web page would be very compatible with phones. So.
And it should be working. Also, I went into the metadata, and it still hasn't percolated. I think we have to start adding information that we had on our...
That was one of the things that we were delaying on. We never even started going into the metadata.
But it should have been...
Well, that's a future edition that we're going to start with.
It should have been transferred from our old site. Is our old site still there?
Okay, our old site is buried somewhere on my computer.
We can copy that and bring it in, because there's a lot of information there that we already have that we don't have to. We can do it a big cut and paste as opposed to typing it all in. And think we should, and I will look at a lot of the pages to see the source code. Because, that, why reinvent the wheel if we already have it? We can enhance the wheel. We don't have to reinvent it. So that was my issues. And these are not particularly long. Lastly, and I hate to be a nidge, but, we approved the web page on the 14th of May. The board approved the home page on the 20th. And now the tweaking of a quarter of an inch or something like that seems, I don't know if it's cost justified. It was approved by the board. Nobody had a problem, and now they've got the time to look at it. They're kind of going, and I don't know if it's cost justified. If we have to spend thousands of dollars to move something a quarter of an inch, I couldn't vote for that.
I'm just, like I said, the managers got together and
It's a wish list.
It was a list of things that they thought, I don't know if it'd be better, but the things that they thought, they'd like to see, I guess we'll present it and see what the cost will be.
Yeah, because, to move something a quarter of an inch, and then what if they don't like it? Then we have to, it would cost more to redo.
Here's really what happens. We have decided to go to this content management. All right. Before it was kind of like
it wasn't
myself and somebody else making the decisions. Well, now if you take eight cooks and throw them in the kitchen, all of a sudden the potato salad tastes different. And so everybody's in there now, and they all have their own opinion. We've already come up with a minor problem where one department put something up and the other department said, well, it could be written better. So they went out and edited the other department's,
Well,
and it was on a page where there are multiple access to, actually the front page. So, we've already had an issue like that. So what we have now is 8 opinions, where we used to kind of have one. And like my daddy used to tell me, you want to get even with somebody, give them what they want. So
exactly.
We gave them what they want, and now we're going to have multitude of opinions on everything. So
Ted, currently I have 3 browsers up and running. I have the Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome. The one I can't check on my system is Safari. How does the web page look on Safari?
I think that Kathy will tell you that our vendor isn't worried about anything but Internet Explorer.
Well, what I will say is that they want them to be viewable, but if there is a problem and it's not on Internet Explorer, they will not, and this has been told to me numerous times, they will not address it. It has to be tried on Internet Explorer. They have to be able to reproduce it on that way. But it should be viewable on all of them.
Because that was part of the...
It was, but this is what I've been told repeatedly. Because some things worked on Chrome, but not on Internet Explorer. And they said, well, do that. I said, but wait a minute, I thought I have to make it work on Internet Explorer. And they said, well,
I've had problems where I was in Chrome and I was told to go back to Internet Explorer.
Yeah, they want a document on Internet Explorer. That is what they say, and we have to follow what they say. But these are my points. I'll tell you, the only reason I could have gone either way on content management. I really could, because I understand when you give more people authority, you get more pop. But knowing that our police chief and our fire chief wanted this was all I had to hear, and I'm hoping that everybody gets involved.
It really never bothered me. The only issue we had was who was going to have content management, and it took a number of years to decide. And I think it was in 2012 after a couple study sessions where it finally was ironed out where this was a township page and the politicians were not going to have access to it, just the managers and the township employee.
It was a board study
The
session,
board
as I
decided
recall.
that, yeah.
Yes, it was a board study session.
It was a board decision.
And
And
they-
it took a while to get to that board decision.
It did. There were people in the room that wanted it as a politician, if I recall, and
Yep.
there were other people who didn't, and it went back and forth. This was not something that was not flushed out for years.
Well,
Years.
I think it's important to understand that it wasn't decided at the, our level.
No,
It was-
no.
It was decided by the board.
Yes, which is appropriate. We recommend, they approve.
Right.
Okay, and let's see, what else?
Just so you know, it is, I've got it up on Safari.
Oh, good.
The only thing that's not apparently working on Safari is if you put the cursor over home, nothing happens.
Well, there's no drop-down menu on
Oh,
home.
there is no, okay.
None, but on some of them, if you go underneath the home drop-down menu, the resource menu jumps
Shows
all the way to the left.
Ah, okay.
All right,
So that's not happening here, it's working.
right.
Well, that's great, then at least we...
On my computer, yeah, I didn't notice it until it was brought to my attention, and then we've been going to different computers and finding out it works on this, it doesn't work on that.
Which would have helped if we'd had the time to beta
Oh.
test, unfortunately. But we're moving forward. I think we've
And I
done,
just want to say one more thing, Ted, and you were talking about the framing, the size. On Safari, you've probably got, on my MacBook Air, I've probably got 2 inches.
oh, that's what
on
they're
each side.
They're mentioning, it's this little tiny thing. That's what they don't like.
Oh, the
Well,
frame.
there's a lot
the
of,
frame.
there's some criticism
Oh, we
on some
talked
of the
about
design
that.
features that,
I got it. Yeah.
if you look at the front page on that picture, it's a 1/4 inch on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look on those pictures in the same location on
Yeah.
inside pages, they're shifted a little,
yeah.
it's a 1/4. That's a design feature that I guess we approved.
We approved and the board approved
and the
on the
board
20th,
approved.
on May 20th.
So there's always going to be,
Second guessing.
everybody's a director, everybody's an artist.
Exactly.
And so we're going to get style criticisms, and we're going to get spacing criticisms, and we're going to get all those criticisms. But at some point, you got to say, this is what was decided, and this is what we're going to go with.
And we can also say, I wish the next group who puts together the next website a lot of luck.
Is it 4 years from the launch that we get another one, or free, or is it, was it 4
Personally-
years from when we first made a contract with them?
My understanding from talking to a lot of professionals in the industry, not our vendor, but other people, they said, 2 years, you're lucky if you get a website anymore. You've got to keep changing them and changing them, because the style changes so quickly. I'm hoping that isn't, but that'll be something to think about in the future. We've done what I consider a very fine job. I'm very proud of the commission. I'm proud of everybody who participated in this long process, and it was a long process. We had a number of people who were on the commission prior, and they have all contributed in their own fashion. And I think we got something that's pretty nice. By now we would have heard something, and we're hearing very
Well, it
pleasant
depends
things.
who you run into. I mean,
Well, depending, but that's it. But that's about all I have to say, except I do want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and that's the end of my report. Now, we'll go on to, we've already talked, the revised meeting, we're going to table that till next month. The new website launch, we've obviously talked about. Now, on new business, we would have a motion for changing the time to 5:30. Would somebody like to make that motion, since it's been added to the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, and the motion is,
I make a motion that it's approved at 5:30.
okay, and a second?
I'll second.
And all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? None? And the motion passes. Great. Now we have old business. Last month, there was an item on the agenda regarding the township policy regarding various social media and websites, and we added that. And Uta, you were the person who asked for that. We have now gotten a policy, and I put that in your packet, from Mr. Ream, our township manager. It has been reviewed by the attorney, and if everybody's had time to look at it and what you think of it, and if you want to talk about the reason you asked these questions, feel free.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, and it so happened that I think it was the day after that meeting, I actually ran into Lauren at the gas station, and we talked about it. She was curious where that whole conversation came from, and she was concerned that it was one more layer of oversight that might stifle communication and participation from volunteers. So I told her that at our next meeting I would explain what I explained to her is I think we went to very great lengths for probably the past several years. It started with a website advisory committee. It went to the Communication Commission, coming up with a policy for the use and what is acceptable and not acceptable to be putting on the township website, and what is acceptable and not acceptable to be using for social media content. As more and more communities were not just having websites, but also hosting Facebook pages and Twitter feeds and we're talking about Instagram now. The same with the YouTube channel. What kind of content are we welcoming to put on these sites, and what kind of content needs to be monitored? And if we all look at the proposed document that we have from the township attorney, you can see that the focus here is townships really can't advocate on any kind of political issues, political action issues. Townships or municipalities cannot endorse issues that are on the ballot. They cannot endorse candidates on a ballot. There are always issues about what constitutes advertising on a township website and a Facebook page. And so this standards of conduct document that has been put together here, and the policies documents that we post on our webpage and on our other sites for the volunteers, are really there to make sure that nothing goes out that reflects badly on the township as a municipality, nothing that can reflect badly on the community, and actually lead to litigation for the community. So while the freighter was aground at the Free Bridge and holding up traffic, there were a lot of us sitting in traffic for a long time. And I know that it's customary for Ted on the old webpage to often put up an announcement from either the Public Safety Department or from Wayne County to notify residents of bridge closures, of traffic situations, any kind of immediate thing that people might be curious to know about. And that was one of the reasons we were so anxious to have the website accessible via smartphone and tablet, because people will be checking these things out as they're not at their home computer and not at their laptop. They'll be sitting in traffic. And so I didn't find anything on that particular day, and it was late, so I didn't really expect anything. But the next day, I'm going through my Facebook. I don't go through it every day. And I noticed that there were a bunch of postings from the Island Fest Facebook page. And it was helpful. The first post or two was very helpful, but then there were jokes and there were other content that made me question, is this somebody's personal website being used as the Island Fest Facebook page? So, and then a few days later, noticed too that there was some licensed content being used on that website. And my only concern was recalling in the past, we had a resident that brought to the board an issue with a bumper sticker that the township, I don't even think the township officially made the bumper sticker, somebody else did, but it was an I Heart GI. and he said he believed that New York City or something like that owned the registered trademark for that. It created an issue for the township, and we actually had to go to our legal staff to get it resolved, to find out, no, it was fine. That this has, I don't know that it's gone into the public domain, but at this point, there were no ramifications for somebody putting out this bumper sticker. But I remembered that the issue came up. And so seeing that there was licensed content on a municipal Facebook account, I just wanted to make sure that Dale, the township manager, you, the chair, Ted, the department head of the cable department, were aware of this, and, was this okay? Just to get either justification it was okay or not okay. As it turns out, there are some concerns about those kind of postings, and this is not to put a muzzle on anybody or to keep them from having fun running the social media content of a township commission or township page. It's simply very important that these are all considered official communications of the township and fall under the records management, records keeping, and records standards of the township. So that's why I brought it up. And actually, to this day, this is the only thing that has come out of this, is that Dale did get an opinion, and they did draft a terms of use policy, and I think, having read it, it's a very good document, and it only serves to protect the township and the people who are volunteering to do this posting.
Let me ask you one thing, because this is not my area of expertise. Should that be approved by the board then?
Absolutely. This is,
Okay.
I think this is something that we can recommend
Okay,
and tell the board, and then Lauren can take this to the board.
okay, well, why don't we vote on that next meeting? Because we just really got it at the last minute.
Yeah.
And it'd be great. Like you said, there are a lot of things most people who have not worked in your position are not aware. They're innocently doing things, and unfortunately, being innocent doesn't always,
Right.
it can cause problems. But this is great.
Yeah.
This is great. So let's all make a point of looking at it, and then we can vote on it next month and recommend whatever to the board, because that's what I kept thinking. It has to be approved by the board, I thought.
Absolutely. And really, we're an advisory
Right.
capacity to the board, and the board could certainly say, we don't want to approve this,
Okay.
or they could alter it themselves. But it gives us a start for the conversation, and the fact that this comes from the township attorney, of course, gives it some weight. And I don't think it puts any kind of serious restrictions
Oh, no.
on what a person can do, but I think it makes sure that everything lives up to the standards of the township.
And I have gone to that Facebook page, and to be honest, they have made changes, positive changes. So, great.
Yeah. I think the key scene, you can tell it's a late day. The importance is that things that are posted are related to the function
Yeah.
of that unit that is making the posting. And I think what's really important about that is that it doesn't dilute then the content that is posted. People can go there and know that what they're seeing will be relevant and has only to do with the purpose of that particular function.
Great. Good. Well, that was our old business. I had one thing I forgot to mention, if I may. Tomorrow I'm meeting with a potential candidate for the commission. Anybody is welcome to attend to talk with her, and it'll just be coffee. If you're interested, let me know. And lastly, we have public comment. Is there public comment? Yes, there is. Please state your name and your address.
Hi, Craig Pilkington, South Point.
Can you just speak that into
Craig
this?
Pilkington, South Point. Excellent job. This rollout is, I think, looks very, very good from the beginning, just based on what I heard in the commentary today. And based on the traffic numbers that we've got, Safari is extremely popular. We've got about 70% of our traffic coming off of Safari. So
On opportunity growth
being,
sale.
both that, yeah, and being that people are hitting it with the mobile devices, so ensuring that it is visible on Safari is really important. It far outweighs Internet Explorer, and I think that just goes to maybe your demographics and the mobile devices taking precedent over conventional laptops.
Actually, it's the vendor who is adamant about Internet Explorer. They're the ones who we have to appeal to. Yeah, just so you know.
And that's fine.
Okay.
You know, and I think everybody does that, and I think they're a Microsoft certified partner or something along
Probably.
those lines. But
Probably.
I'm just telling you the traffic that we
Great.
see and how important it is.
And you like it.
I endorsed the proposed policy, of course. I endorsed it before. I'd like to see a copy of it, if I could. I think that's, I hope that's not asking too much. I agree with the
It's right here, Craig.
being related to the mission. And the other things, as far as ending up with white space on some of the template pages, this has to do with modules and basically making sure that the modules are just denoted that on certain pages, certain modules don't show up, and that'll clear up your white space, I think, in a heartbeat.
There's another issue on the top nav. When you go to the top nav, each page,
Yep.
as soon as you click on it, we've filled in. We were getting a blank page. They were supposed to remove it. They have not removed it, so we adjusted. But now we're having this complication, so we're going to have to go back and revisit that.
Well, there's just, I mean, for anybody that criticizes, I think you can tell them that in fairly short order you'll identify those, and it really is as simple on
Good.
the lower level, the level below. I think what you guys normally would deal with, it's really just a matter of hitting a flag on a box.
Most things are.
Or taking the flag off and making sure it doesn't show up on a certain, a module doesn't show up on a certain template. So, no, I think it's good. I look forward to it. I'm excited about, and this is the other thing on the Facebook pages. I think as you execute and you improve this page and you improve the emergency notifications and get things out faster and maybe develop a protocol with fire, there's going to be less reliance on Facebook pages, like the OpGrow Zeal Facebook page. We get huge amounts of traffic when those things come up, and we're more than happy to respond. But I think as they get more confidence in the township getting that information out, and that's where the information should come from in the long term. So I'm excited about it.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Craig, we'll make sure that you get a copy, but we have one right here.
Yep.
And I would just take that one step further and ask if Ted and his team could actually put a draft of the proposed policy available to the public on the webpage.
Okay.
That they can take a look at it as well.
You can do that, Ted? Thank you. All righty. Well,
Thanks for coming in, Craig.
yep. Our next commission meeting is January 14th, 2015. Oh, my.
At 5:30.
At 5:30. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I will so move.
And a second.
I will second it.
And we are adjourned at 6:21. Thank you, everyone.